Hey everyone, I'm Nala.
And I'm Faith.
And this is the Siren's Den, your fandom podcast where we talk all things pop culture under the sun.
Today on our show, we have Twitch streamer ICrazyJI.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm very excited to talk about all these topics with you.
Absolutely.
We're going to have a good time.
Same here.
What games are you playing right now that you want to talk about?
Well, right now I've been playing and suffering in Overwatch.
Yeah.
on
Nice.
PC. Been playing Soul Calibur, and I've been playing my PlayStation 5 as well. So just
You're
a lot of
Overwatch
nerds.
main.
Yeah, I am. And I play tank, which is unfortunate.
Oh, I feel you. I know that pain.
Yep.
Well, let's get to the news. Our first topic today is Spider-Man finally announcing their title. Spider-Man No
Yes.
Way Home. We finally got it.
Should be technically called Spider-Man Work From Home because that's all we're doing. But and you know, on a serious note, I'm very excited for this title. Me and my kids actually have a tradition of always watching all the Spider-Man movies the day they come out, and I'm a little sad that this one's not coming out in July because that's when my son's birthday is, and it just so happened that Far From Home actually fell on his birthday last year.
Oh, nice.
But the movie itself, I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think he's the perfect combination of Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
I agree.
I think that Andrew Garfield played a great Spider-Man, but not so great Peter Parker, and Tobey Maguire played a great Peter Parker, but not a so great Spider-Man. So,
Yeah, I agree with that so hard.
and it's like with Tom Holland, they took both of the both positives from both of those previous two actors and blended it up, and you got Tom Holland. Not only that, all you women love Tom Holland. They're like, oh my God, he's hot, blah, blah, blah. I have a friend that is obsessed with Tom Holland, like obsessed. And I think it's cute as hell. I think it's awesome. I think that she's great. But as far as the movie itself, the only thing we have now is a title, right?
Mhm.
And
No Way Home.
And they're saying that supposedly that Jamie Foxx is supposed to come back in this as Electro.
Mhm.
It actually has been confirmed.
That's
Jamie
confirmed.
Foxx, that is confirmed, and Doc Ock.
Mhm.
My biggest question is that where's it going to take place? And also, who's the villain besides those two? Like, are we going to get any more surprises besides those two? Maybe a character that has not yet been introduced, because Mysterio was in it, but I don't know.
I'm really hoping that we're finally going to get a Sinister Six movie. I'm really hoping that that's what they're trying to do by bringing in Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx, because we know with the Andrew Garfield movies, and I'm in the camp that I really liked the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. I know a lot of people didn't like them. I liked them. I thought they were fine, but I was really excited to get Sinister Six for that because it was kind of implying that and leading up to that. And so I'm really excited to actually get that for the third movie if that's where they're going, which hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. I really think that it's going to be I think it's going to be a very exciting movie, and it's good that we're getting Spider-Man because I mean, look at the other movies that we're going to be getting in this phase of Marvel. Like, we're going to be getting a whole bunch of new movies and a whole bunch of characters that some people have no clue what it's about. You know what I mean? It's going to be, in my opinion, this phase of Marvel is going to be how people reacted to Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time when they saw it. I knew that Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be great. I knew it was right out of the gate. I was like, this is going to be Marvel's sleeper title. And I really think that if they introduce, with Spider-Man, some of these other these villains that people aren't, familiar with, like Scorpion and then Rhino, and then who knows, maybe even Hobgoblin or, some of these other characters, I think it'll be a nice take on the movie.
Yeah, I think the potential to bring in more of the Sinister Six characters, they were kind of going that way with Morbius.
Yeah.
Before everything shut down, they had Michael Keaton's Vulture in that. So it's like, I still think they're going that route. Now, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire haven't been like officially confirmed for coming back. So it might not be so much a Spider-Man meme moment where they're all just looking at each other. But it might be the villains coming in from different universes.
Yeah.
And wreaking havoc, which would be super cool. And with Doctor Strange and with WandaVision talking about the multiverse, and they're introducing the Nexus. There's a lot we can do with the villains, and I'm excited for Tom Holland to go up against the Sinister Six. We deserve that storyline.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And one thing about this movie, if you noticed, you cannot stream this movie. They said it's only going to be available in theaters in that trailer, which is something that really it kind of throws us off, because
it's kind of it's the first time I've seen a studio be really optimistic about, yes, this will be over by then and it will be in theaters. And I'm cautiously optimistic about that. I think that if we are continue down a good track with everything, that would be such a fun Marvel movie to finally see in theaters after all this time.
Right.
But yeah, it's really the first time that I've seen studios be optimistic about being able to do something like that, about not having to rely on streaming to release movies. And especially coming off of the tales of, the HBO playing all the, oh God, which studio is it?
The
but
Warner
HBO,
Brothers?
releasing all their movies at the same time, and how that just put the whole industry into this giant uproar, because that's such a massive shift. And if that's something that we continue doing, that's really, really bad for theaters. So this is kind of Disney going the opposite route and being like, yes, this big blockbuster, most anticipated movie of this phase of Marvel will be in theaters on Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a promise to just movie theaters in general as well.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it stays to that. That would be awesome. We'll find out towards the end of the year, and hopefully this means that we'll be getting more content from it, because it looks like they are filming it and whatnot. So if it's going to be coming out by Christmas Day, then we're going to be getting more trailers, and we'll definitely talk about those when they come out as well. I'm very excited. There was a lot going on in the little teaser that we got, and I'm excited to see more.
Yeah, I was taking a look at that dry erase board, and trying to nitpick at some things and see if there's like any other clues. Now, it did show Iron Man's chest piece, like the arc.
The arc reactor.
Yeah, the arc reactor. It did show that on there. So it makes me wonder, like, who else could play a part? Because, I mean, think about it. If you have more than one villain, Spider-Man's going to need some help. You know what I mean? Who else could go with him? You know what I mean? Like, who else could show up? Maybe Venom? Maybe, I don't know who else.
Very true, yeah.
I will say, I do hope that they do focus a lot of the action between Spidey and his just trio of friends. Just because I love the fact that the Earth human characters, especially in Spider-Man, haven't been left behind as things have gone greater and more galactic. And they just have such good chemistry together. And their stories are really intertwined with each other. So I think I would love to see them being the more prominent forces in the movie, like maybe with some superheroes helping them a little bit along the way. But I love the human side of Spider-Man, and I really hope we get to see that with the multiverse.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who knows? It might even be, I'm having a brain fart, Scarlet Witch. My goodness. It might even be her that comes out here and be like, hey, guess what? It could
I hope
be.
So. I just want to see Elizabeth Olsen and everything. And side note, if you like Scarlet Witch, check out our other podcast where we do a breakdown of WandaVision. Okay, that was our plug.
Moving on to our second wonderful piece of news that we have gotten today. Avatar: The Last Airbender is going to expand its franchise with Nickelodeon through their own Avatar Studios, and it's headed by the original show creators, and they're looking at making more content. Now, CJ, I know that you're not too big on Avatar, but for Faith and I, this has been a really wonderful fandom in our lives. So seeing it now with the possibility to have even more to the world is really, really dope.
Yeah.
I think, I haven't watched the anime in so long. Don't laugh at me when I say this. Don't laugh at me, but the last anime I saw was Evangelion 3.33 when it came out on Blu-ray.
Wow.
Nice. I wouldn't laugh at you for that. That's a good one.
But prior to that, I stopped watching anime. Like I'm old school anime. I'm like Vampire Hunter D. I'm like Iria, Gunsmith Cats, Slayers.
Nice.
You know, Ranma
Slayers.
1/2. You know,
Ranma.
That's like me.
Love Ranma.
You know, Tenchi Muyo. I used to watch that. Wicked City. But my favorite is Initial D. That's my favorite. So
yeah.
Nice.
So there's a lot of debate about whether Avatar is an anime. I kind of fall into the camp that yes, absolutely it is. It's kind of because anime has kind of become this point where it's a genre and an animation style and just a recognizable style all itself. There's a lot of anime that don't look like anime and they aren't marketed as such when they make to the States, and then vice versa. There's a lot of anime or American shows that are made to look like anime and are marketed as such. Like it's whatever it was. But also the animation studios were Korean studio, or actually I think they might have actually been Japanese studios. It's not like,
and honestly it was based heavily on Asian culture, so it kind of really seamlessly fits in with the genre of anime. I mean, CJ, if you have time, I think your kids would love it. It's only 3 seasons for one show, 4 seasons for another, but it's a pretty enjoyable show, and it's really well animated as well. Like that's definitely the way they use all these martial art elements in these shows, in these moves, in this animation. It's so fun to watch.
So it isn't like Dragon Ball where there's like 1,000 episodes and 999 of them they're sitting there.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
It's really good. It has a really good pacing. It was definitely something that set out. It had a story it wanted to tell and knew the amount of episodes it needed to do it. And it was just a really fun, lighthearted romp. But one of the things I also really love about Avatar is that there is, and one of the reasons why this is such exciting information, is that there's just so much opportunity for telling stories within this universe. It's I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan at all, but like Star Wars, there's stories that span like millennia. There's this 1,000 years ago, this happened, and then 2,000 years in the future, and it all connects, and it really has the potential to do that. There's so much that I could talk about with this, but some quick bullet points that I'm hoping from this is I really hope that they adapt the Kyoshi books. The Avatar Kyoshi books, if anyone has not read them, they are amazing. They are such a good addition to the universe, and I would love to see that story get the animated treatment that it deserves. And also, I'm really excited that it's going to be animated, because now we don't have to worry about the live action show anymore. But also, I still haven't forgiven Nickelodeon for what it did to Legend of Korra. And the moment that this doesn't seem to be profitable for Nickelodeon, there's a chance they're going to drop it, because that's what Nickelodeon does.
It could be worse. It could be Thundercats Roar. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
I, for one, think this opens up a lot of doors for a lot of possibilities. So there are different ways they can go to expand this world. They can either, like Faith said, go the Kyoshi route and talk about Avatar Kyoshi, who's the Avatar before Aang. That would be awesome. Or they can continue the story after Korra and do the next Earthbender, because that's where the cycle is going to be. So they can either go past Earthbenders or future Earthbenders. I think setting Avatar in close to the present day, kind of like a cyberpunk Avatar, would be super awesome. And, that's what the original creators were intending. They were intending it to be more of a cyberpunk story. And then they decided to just take all of the like electronics away and make it a really traditional, setting. But that's definitely where the timeline is headed now. So that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see either more stuff on Kyoshi, because she was a badass, or just a cyberpunk Avatar, because, who wouldn't want that? I think that's what we all need. But with this good news that came this week. Honestly, it was just a roller coaster of an emotional week for me personally, because it started off with the news that after 28 years, Daft Punk has split up. The French electronic iconic group has now gone their separate ways, and it is devastating.
Yeah, I honestly just can't believe it. Like so like how people joke around and they're like, "That's fake news."
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping that this was fake news because I grew up listening to Daft Punk, right? So I'm older than all of you, probably some of you like combined. Like seriously, I'm 44 now, and I grew up listening to Daft Punk all the time, and Discovery is quite possibly my favorite album period of all time. Like Daft Punk is my favorite duo, my favorite music artist of all time period, right?
I'm with you. Yes.
So when I heard that they're no longer together, it's like part of me went with them on that because they're masterminds in their craft, right?
Yeah.
Like no one could do it how Daft Punk does it. It doesn't matter. Like I was looking at some of the samples of music that they took and then how they put that together. And I'm like, this is absolutely genius. There's no way I could do that. There's no way. Like, let's just take this part of this song. Let's go ahead and expand it. Let's speed it up or slow it down. And then let's go ahead and put a twist on it by adding some beats and some bass and, everything. And it's just, Discovery, in my opinion, is still their best album. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Random Access Memories too. And that's what they went out with. And they won a Grammy from it. I get it. I understand it. I respect it. But in my opinion, it would go Discovery, Tron Legacy soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
And Random Access Memories. Because that Tron Legacy, as a matter of fact, you could put Discovery and the Tron Legacy soundtrack like together.
Absolutely.
And it was just amazing. But I'm devastated by it. Like I'm actually truly freaking hurt about it. I was at my desk at work tearing up because they split.
It hit hard.
It did.
It hit way too hard. I'm also of the same boat. I woke up and my partner was like, Nala, I don't know how to tell you this, but Daft Punk split up. And I was like, no, they didn't. That's a lie. Why would they split up? No. And there I go. I opened Facebook and sure enough, like every other person is posting about it. And I'm like, excuse me, what? So I watched their epilogue and it was from the movie that I've seen, Electroma. And I've seen that scene and I was like, okay, wow, maybe they're just like going to announce something new. And then it looks like they filmed more with one of them walking away into the desert as touch plays. Yeah. And they had the dates and I was like, oh my God, no, this can't be real. But sure enough, there it was. And I started crying because Daft Punk has been a wonderful constant in my life. I discovered them when I was like going out of middle school into high school. And I just became so obsessed with them. And I'm really excited to get to our main topic, which is Interstella 5555.
Yes.
But I am absolutely on board with you because Discovery is still a banger and I listen to it all the time. And yes, it is absolutely my favorite album. Digital Love is my favorite song. And
I listened to Discovery like 4 or 5 times today. The whole thing, over and over.
Amazing. And absolutely Tron Legacy is an iconic soundtrack. I still can't believe it's them because they're so talented at being composers. And yeah, they, like you said, they take something and they're like, let's make layers. Let's take this beat out at this moment. Let's put it back over here. Let's arrange stuff. Let's rearrange stuff. And it's just like, there is no end to what they can do, which is why it was so heartbreaking that we might never get any new content from them again.
Right. And the cool thing about Daft Punk, they actually, they take a chance when they do something. So you have Discovery, right? And then you had Tron Legacy that it sounds so different. It's so different you would think that it's not Daft Punk, right?
Exactly.
You would never think it's them. And then you have Random Access Memories, which is different than all of their albums, and you would never think that it's them.
Exactly. They changed their sound so flawlessly and still kept their, quality of music, just like delivering great beats, great vibes. And yeah, no, the orchestra of the Tron Legacy soundtrack, it's a shame that alone didn't give us a third Tron movie. I hope maybe they'll work kind of with this new Tron movie that's apparently coming out. Because it's not going to be as good if Daft Punk isn't scoring it.
Right. The only way, in my opinion, that it could be good. But then again, I mean, I don't know how this person would orchestrate and compose this music. But I mean, you would have to give it to someone like Hans Zimmer or Harry Gregson Williams,
Right.
or someone of that nature, or Tim Burton, someone that has a high presence, with that. But
honestly, they should have been nominated for Tron. They should have been nominated for an Oscar because that was just such a good soundtrack.
Like and that's the thing. I don't think anybody else could really do it. Well, I mean, you could give it to someone like maybe Deadmau5. Maybe he could come up with something. You know what I mean? Someone that's within that realm, like Armin van Buuren, or I don't want dubstep. No disrespect to dubstep or anything like that, but I don't want that in a Tron movie.
Yeah.
I want electric sounding, awesome music from Daft Punk. Come back. Like, put your fingers together, become one again, like Dragon Ball, something.
Yes.
Like, please come back.
I mean, I hope this is just a ploy for them to completely kill it at a comeback tour. If they do one. But Faith, what do you think?
I wasn't too surprised when they announced that they were going to break up. I really felt like they had kind of moved on musically from what Daft Punk originally was, right? And kind of, honestly, when Random Access Memories came out, I really wasn't expecting to ever get another Daft Punk album from that, because it was so different from what the rest of their music had been, in a really good way. Like, all of their music is groundbreaking in its own right, but this really felt like them dipping into wanting to explore musical genres and sounds, which really does make sense, because I mean, they've been together for 28 years. Of course, your musical interest and what speaks to you as a musician is going to change. So as sad as it is, it really does make sense that they have their interests have moved on as they've grown as musicians, and they've moved on with their careers. And it's so, like, it's bittersweet, right? Like, on one hand, like, it's a bummer that we're never gonna get more Daft Punk officially. And also, Daft Punk is, like, they've been so groundbreaking and they could do more. But at the same time, they've had such a wonderful career, and I'm really happy that they've been able to have such control over their musical legacy, and they're going out at such a bang. Like, they really, even though they haven't released an album since Random Access Memories, which was 2012, like, there's just still so loved and renowned, and there's still so much heartbreak for a band that hasn't released an album in almost 9 years. So I think that's such a wonderful way to be able to leave your mark as a musician, and I can't wait to see what the both of them do in the future, separate from Daft Punk.
So even though Daft Punk will be forever missed, we can always have their music to look back on. And specifically, it leads us into our main topic of this episode. Our review for Interstella 5555, the iconic Daft Punk animated album masterpiece, honestly. I love this movie so much. It's not even describable. It is the one, like, the anchor in my life. Will always be that movie. And having just watched it again since the news broke, just has a whole new meaning to it. And I'm very excited to talk about it with you guys. So, I mean, let's talk about, like, how we first saw this movie, because I'm pretty sure everyone has a story. We all remember where we were the first time we saw this movie.
Yep,
CJ, where were you?
So I was at my house. I was living with my mom at the time, and my friend came over, and she was like, there's a movie I want to show you. I know you like anime, and I know you like Daft Punk. And I was like, I love Daft Punk. You know, they're my favorite. What do you got? She's like, there's this movie called Interstella 5555, and they take Discovery, the whole album, and incorporated it in this Japanese anime. And right there, I was like, all right, let's watch it. Like, no matter what, we're watching this. And I was hooked, absolutely hooked. The cool thing about this movie, it reminds you kind of WALL-E, because not a single person talks in the movie, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
But you get a sense of, you get a lot of emotions in this movie. Happiness, sadness, anxiety, you know, and then with Daft Punk's album incorporated in this, it's a masterpiece. It's phenomenal. And if you have never seen it, you're missing out. And if you want to buy it, good luck, because it's gone up in price everywhere.
Oh, so sad, so sad. But I love that you bring that up, because that is one of my favorite parts about this movie. Other than the occasional lyrics that they have in some of their songs, there isn't dialogue. It's all music. And with that music, they help you really feel what the characters are going through. And it's an amazing journey. Again, I highly recommend you find some way to watch it. You won't regret it. It's only an hour long. It feels so satisfying, but so short, and like it leaves you wanting more at the same time. I remember the first time I watched it was when I saw Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, which we'll talk about when we get into this movie, on YouTube. And that was the fourth part. It was the fourth song of the album. And it is a great way to hook you in, because it kind of explains to you the whole story. And I was like, by the end of the music video, I was like, wait a minute, what's happening? I want to know more. And on my suggested list was part 1, part 2, part 3. And I just spent the whole time watching every part and just being amazed and just like immersed and being like, I need to show this movie to anyone and everyone I can, because it just does such a good job of telling a story in such a simple way, yet it's beautifully animated. The characters, even though they barely talk, you still know so much about them. And it is my favorite movie, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's really just great piece of animation. It has such a beautiful story, and it's told so magically. It's so fun. It's a really just epic space opera that's up there with every epic space pulp opera. It's very pulpy too. That's what I really love about it. It really kind of embraces the ridiculous kind of pulpy space opera that of like classic sci-fi, and it just really takes a lot of wild turns throughout the whole movie. They pack so much into an hour and 5 minutes, and they tell such just a fun, epic story. Like, it's an epic within this hour, and it's so well done. I have nothing but praise for this movie. Toei Animation really just went above and beyond in their animated sequences. Like, everything in this movie is so pretty, and it's so iconic movie looking. Like, Toei Animation has a very distinctive style. Like, they also did notably Sailor Moon, and it just it's so defined from the rest of that. Like, I can look at any, like, if someone sent me a frame of this movie, I would know exactly where it's from, because the imagery is so iconic.
Totally. And it not only does it do a good job of telling a full story, but since it's a music video for each of their songs, they're also self-contained stories within each song, but they just blend so seamlessly together, and they just look so good apart too. So I mean, let's dive into this movie. Let's go over the first 4 songs that I would say make up like the first part of this movie.
So our first 4 songs are One More Time, the classic Daft Punk anthem, Aerodynamic, Digital Love, and of course, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. Like, just 3 out of 4 of those, I would say, are like just the most iconic Daft Punk songs, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, I feel like if we were to choose 3 Daft Punk songs that would stand the test of time and would be remembered, and like we could only have 3, I think most people would pick those 3.
Yeah. Totally.
So throughout these 4 songs, we have basically an epic sequence. It starts off with a concert. We have the band. We're introduced to the 4 members. Octave, the keyboardist, the guitarist, it's arpeggius. Yeah, arpeggius, the drummer Beryl, and the lovely bass player Stella. But while they're having this concert, there is everyone is so distracted by the concert, including the people who are supposed to be guarding the planet, that their alien invaders come and abduct the band. The band is
they had one job.
Yeah, they had one job, which was to not let alien invaders come in and kidnap this band. But that's what happens. They send out a distress call as this band is taken to who knows where we are introduced to the hunky Shep, who is a fan of the band, but also of Stella. He's in love with Stella. Stella is his girl. Like, we see him in his spaceship, and he has pictures of her all over his wall, which I have to say, it is a little creepy. It is
definitely fair. Yeah, taking it back to the first song one more time. Again, you said it's a Daft Punk anthem. It definitely is. And again, withstands the test of time. We all just listened to it and we were like, yes, let's go. And I can honestly see why everyone was so distracted, even the guys that only had one job.
Yeah, it's such a banger. Like, the music was too good. You can't blame them when the music is that good.
I love the characters. Each one has their own distinct personality. And even though they don't talk, they just sing. They all have their own, they all shine in their own way. So I absolutely love the band. I love that they're so dedicated to their music, and that'll definitely show throughout the course of the movie. CJ, what do you think of this? What do you think of One More Time?
Just like you mentioned, you could play this song anywhere. It doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't matter. You're going grocery shopping. It doesn't matter if you're getting a haircut. You play this song, people are going to know that song, and people are going to be like, hey, that's Daft Punk. And then now everyone's going to be up in their feelings because they're not together anymore, myself included.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it's a great intro song to Interstella 5555.
Totally.
Because, I mean, you're sitting there and you're looking at everyone, and they're all having a great time together.
Everyone is so happy.
And, it's one of those times now where you can watch this movie and you're like, hey, people are actually together, unlike us right now. We're not together, and.
Oh, totally. Yeah. A life before COVID, it was so happier times.
Yeah. And I think that the way that, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, but I like how every single song captures a mood for every scene in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does it, and it executes it perfectly. Like, just perfect. And it's like, how can you do that? You know what I mean? Like, how? Like, what genius has put this together? Oh, wait, Daft Punk, right?
Yeah. Who did that? They did that.
Right. And I just think that One More Time, again, is the anthem of Daft Punk. I really think it is. And again, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a phenomenal job that they've done.
Heck yeah. And this is obviously, spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about this movie. So if you haven't seen it, again, I would find a way to watch it. It's just 1 hour and 5 minutes, and you will love it. And you can join us as we geek out about it more. Because, again, the aliens were able to infiltrate, which leads us to our second song, Aerodynamic. Love this song as well. I personally love the epic little guitar shred that they do. So the bad guys come down and they gas everyone and steal the band members, but one of them, Arpeggius, it manages to escape. And as he's running, you get this super dope guitar shred as they finally manage to hit him with some sleeping gas and take him as well. So they kidnap this band, gas everyone. Just love the energy of this song. Just like you said, Crazy J, every song has a mood, and this one was definitely like full of adrenaline.
Yeah. Aerodynamic is just it's such a fun song, and it's not one of Daft Punk's more well-known song, I don't believe.
Yeah.
But it is so distinguished of their style. They're really good about just taking like a distinctive sound, a distinctive rhythm, and being able to stretch it into being just a full beautiful piece. And they really do that with that guitar riff. I used to get in trouble in orchestra all the time because on the viola I would be doing that riff instead of the music that I was actually supposed to be learning.
So it's crazy because, you know, not to get off subject, but when you when you listen to these songs, you know, like I said before, they take samples of older disco songs.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like,
there's a video out there that goes over for actually one more time, and it goes on over the sample that they used
I saw
Spell
that.
on You. It's mind-blowing, and it is such an art form of how that they are able to just remaster this music and really make it their own. Like they really proved that this is a genre of music that deserves and should be taken seriously because it is groundbreaking and it's something new, and there really is a beautiful art form to it.
Yeah, like they took for Aerodynamic, they took a song from Sister Sledge, and the beat that you had at the beginning with the guitar, they actually took that and reconstructed the whole thing, but yet kept it the same. And it's like, how the hell did you do that? Like,
who did that? Daft Punk did.
That's so cool.
It's like, how do you guys do that? Like, how do you come up with that? So
I just to the people who these aliens are blue. The band's theme is orange. They're all wearing these like orange, almost jumpsuits and dresses, but they are blue and they have different colored hairs. But that leads us to our third song and my personal favorite, Digital Love. This is just such a beautiful song. It is just so light and airy, and it makes me smile literally every time it comes on.
Yeah. They really use it in a really good opportunity too, because Aerodynamic is a little bit more kind of intense. It's a little bit more in your face. And Digital Love is this really nice and light, breezy love song. And it introduces us to the character of Shep, who is this space pilot of the same alien blue. I keep wanting to call them Kree because we're watching so much Marvel, which, you know, maybe this is in the Marvel-verse. We don't know. But
wow, that would be amazing.
That's who the surprise cameo in WandaVision is going to be. Anyway, we're introduced to Shep. He is cleaning his ship. He's thinking about Stella of the band. He loves her.
I believe he's listening to one of their songs. I think it's supposed to be like this is one of their
Digital Love probably being the song, but he
I also want to note that his spaceship is a giant guitar, which is giant guitar.
It's a really cool spaceship design.
It is dope though. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I really want Star Wars to do a ship like that. I think that would look really cool. But
yeah, he goes into his room and he's listening to this song, and there are a few more pictures of Stella than
he really likes Stella. He's which
I want to say that they were childhood friends.
Yeah,
I want to say that he's liked her for a long time, and now she's a famous rock star.
Yeah, and she is a pop star. Like it's not unusual for people to have like a bunch of posters of a pop star in their room. I guess it gets lonely in space.
Yeah.
But anyway, he falls asleep. He has this really beautifully animated dream sequence where he's like dancing with her and floating and flying, and they're happy and in love. And then the dream is interrupted by the distress signal that the guys who let the invaders in, they managed to press the we're in trouble alert. And he goes to it, and the situation's explained to him, and he's like, Stella! Because he's
like
actually
Marlon Brando?
Yeah.
Stella!
But he he chases after the pursuers. He catches up to them. They go into a wormhole, and the wormhole crashes them into dun 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 the planet Earth. And his spaceship just eats dirt. It eats pavement, and the other ship is fine. They're transferred to a normal human plane where they go to a series of warehouses, which leads us to one of my favorite Daft Punk songs, the classic "Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger."
Yes, love this track.
So, Crazy J, what did you think of Digital Love?
Digital Love is, you know, a lot of people, again, when you mention Daft Punk, will mention something like Human After All, something like, One More Time. But a lot of people I've noticed don't mention Digital Love. And it's sad because they're missing out.
I know.
That's the thing. They're missing out.
Oh, it's such a gem.
And, it has... It like combines a lot of elements, like the way that the equalization is used in this song. Like it's very hard for me to describe it, but just the whole scene of him singing on the ship, sitting there daydreaming, being with Stella, and then next the distress signal goes off, and then he looks at the computer screen and he's like, you know what? Screw this nonsense. I got to go down there and save my friends who are practically his family.
Yeah.
And the music along with that scene just makes up for it, especially towards the end. And right before he crashes, you hear that whole guitar just go off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the guitar riff in this one too, because they also just shred it to the max. But again, it's so good at just, having the stakes set so high already. You're in the third song and you're already so invested in this story. And you're like, oh no, his ship crashed. What's gonna happen? Who is he? What's happening? And you're just like, I want to see more. And yeah, it leads us to, again, wonderful, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. Also a bop, timeless.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this, and one thing about this movie too, it's very colorful. But at the same time, it's like very intense. Like it's very engrossing, I guess is the best term for it. Yeah. Because after you listen to a song and you watch a scene, you're like, what happens next? What happens next? Do you know what I mean?
This next scene is the first one I watched. And this is also just a great scene to watch because you're like, you get so much information. And at the end, you're like, oh no, I already see. It's already so different than the movie it started out as. It started out so cheerful. And now you're like, whoa, wait a second. What are all these machines doing? What's going on?
Throughout the whole sequence of the Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, it's essentially just rebuilding these 4 aliens into looking and thinking that they are actually human. So we see like a brain probe scan their memories and like they download it into a computer, and the computer kind of transforms the blue Kree alien people into human people and downloads it into a drive. They go through like this machine that like hits them with a paint palette that just transforms their skin color into totally looking human. They get like a new wardrobe and stuff. Like they go through like this, like it kind of reminded me of like Totally Spies. Remember Totally Spies when they would like do the scan and it would give them what they wanted? It was that, but creepier because they're there against their will.
It was really, there was a lot of technology there. I was like, wow, this is a lot.
Yeah. And it ends with giving them a pair of glasses with a chip in it to like, I guess, keep them under mind control, and also giving them the false implanted memories so they think that they're human and they don't know that they're been abducted from space.
Right. Too bad that
what do you think of this song?
I think it's great. I think it's this is a very iconic song.
Oh yeah.
100%. It's one and the reason I say that is because, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Kanye West have something similar?
Yeah, with his song Stronger.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then
he licensed it from Daft Punk.
From them.
And they were in his music video too.
That's why, and I think that brought a lot more, a lot more people to Daft Punk.
I believe that's when I started really getting into that song that I was like, hold up, who is this Daft Punk? Let me listen to the original song. Then I saw this music video and I was like, hang on, what? And then the rest is history.
Yeah, and I just really think that again, it's a phenomenal song. Like I say that about every Daft Punk song, but that's because they do it different. Like, and what I mean by that is you could have a lot of pop stars, right? And their music could sound very similar. But with Daft Punk, it can be electronic music, but they have a way of creating a song that's so different. Like, yes, it's electronic, but you had different beats. Yes, it's electronic, but you had different sounds. Yet it's electronic, but you have different incorporations of different instruments like guitars and, like even in one of their songs on Random Access Memories, they even had a violin going off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's like they do it so well. And someone put it best about this soundtrack is that Discovery, if you take the beginning part of Discovery, it spells disco. If you think about that, all the songs that they use samples of were soul and disco.
Hell yeah. I mean, I like that it's like disco Discovery.
I think they're discovering the disco genre and taking samples along with their beats and put out this album. And I think that it's truly wonderful. And this song is, it's no exception. I think that if you have never listened to Daft Punk, do yourself a favor and just give it a listen, please. Like, please. Like, I can listen to it all day.
I love this part as well because, again, we just get more of those stakes. We see them take footage of their performance on their on their home world, and digitally put their new personas in there. And you can see that they go from these happy, cheerful people who love what they do to just these like emotionless, just like droning musicians. And that is definitely something that just gets more and more apparent throughout the rest of the movie, because we go into the next scene. I think he sends the tape to a record a label head, and real quick, obviously loves them.
One last detail at the end of that that always gets me is when they're being transported after the full transformation has been sequences. They're all still unconscious, but Stella, when they're about to get there, opens her eyes just a little bit, and it is so powerful.
Yep, totally. Love Stella. We stan Stella.
Yep.
So then it goes into the Crescendos, which is the next song.
The Crescendos, basically what's happening is the footage of the rewritten footage of them as the human band is showed to a record producer at our records, and the producer's like, oh my god, this is obviously the next big thing, so we gotta get these guys in here immediately. And the song is basically a sequence of this band becoming the most popular band in the entire world. We see that they record the music. There's a lot of anticipation for their release. There's advertising for them everywhere. Everyone starts listening to their new songs. Their concerts are broadcast throughout the world, and they gain the same global popularity that they had back on their home planet.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is that if you notice in this scene, it is extremely powerful, because if you notice one thing, they don't show emotion. Like, it's crazy that no one really knows what's really behind the scenes, because they're not showing any emotion. Like, there's a scene where Stella signs a CD and the person shakes her hand, and then she looks at it, and you could just tell that she's being controlled, because she doesn't even look at the person when his hand is being, when she shakes his hand. And this guy is getting all this fame, and they're doing all these interviews and everything along those lines. And you feel really bad for this group, because they're being controlled by this guy and playing music that they probably don't want to play. They probably want to play at their own will, but yet they're being possessed.
Totally. I also love this song. It's also just a bop, and they do a great job of adding in different layers and taking away different layers and just really giving you a good earworm song. But I love how this is kind of their own story. This is kind of the story of Daft Punk and how they kind of blew up and exploded, but it's also giving you that insight of this is sometimes how bands actually come to be, and like they are unhappy and they are overworked and exhausted, which again, every song gives you a different emotion, and it really feeds into this next song where you see kind of the aftermath of everyone dealing with their stuff. And they are emotionless, but they go through the motions. Like they play a song, and I remember Stella like spins around on stage, and it's like still she's not smiling, she's not really having a good time like she was in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
It's very like robotic.
And it really, Crescendos is really the perfect song to play for the sequence because it's so chaotic, especially compared to the rest of the Daft Punk songs that we've been getting. There's kind of a lot of sequences going on. It's a lot more upbeat, even for a lot of their songs that have been really upbeat before. And it's just kind of, it's very noisy. It's very messy. There's, because Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, and One More Time, they're very clean in the samples that they use. They were really good about focusing on the sample and having the good beat behind it and crafting it into being a song, where Crescendos is just a bunch of sounds happening at once and kind of getting more intense as it goes on. And it works. It's really good. It works really well, but it really kind of shows the chaos and just the hecticness of this blowing up so fast. And then that's, again, going back to how just monotone and out of it that this band is. It's really powerful stuff.
Totally. And I'd like to say that to that, it also ends so poignantly. And it just, the music stops. It cuts off at the villain, the guy who kidnapped them. And he's, relishing in all this fame. And he just looks sinisterly at the camera and smiles.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts off, and then it goes into the next song, which is Night Vision, which is a very
love this song.
Again, just like it's on like lo-fi beats to chill and relax to, because it is a vibe of a song.
What's crazy about this is that isn't this Daft Punk's like shortest song?
Yeah.
And it's dark is what it is. And during that scene, you see all of the band members just exhausted. Like one of them is signing like posters, and he drops his pen, and then the henchman, I guess you want to call him bodyguard, is like holding him up, like what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
You know?
And they're all trapped in this penthouse that's just and it's raining outside, and they're looking down across the city. And then it goes to Shep, who's kind of in the slums, who's been looking for them, and he finds the material of the band and finds out what's happening to them. And this very almost noirish sequence. He's
in a hood. He's
and yeah, a lot of emotion was just packed into like what, 2 minutes.
There was a lot going on kind of behind the scenes of the song. It was more of like a soundtrack than an actual song. That really made the movie just a little more cinematic, because it wasn't like, it didn't have lyrics, it didn't really have like a beat, it was just like an undertone, like what's really happening, the droning. They sign all these posters, and they're trembling, they're falling asleep where they're sitting, they're just getting overworked, and they can't escape this lavish penthouse, and they're starting to almost fight back in a way and be like, we're so tired, we're human after all, aren't we?
Right.
And that goes into, I love that you bring up that it's like a noir, because we see Shep and he's hooded, and you see it just, he's mainly shown in silhouettes, and it isn't until the end when you see him look at the posters of these people that he loves, and what they have done to them, namely that they just don't show emotion and they look like robots. And he makes a vow, he clenches his fist, and he's like, I'm going to do something about it, which leads to another amazing song, Superheroes.
I love Superheroes.
Absolutely love this song. Oh,
it's
and
crazy.
this sequence.
Yeah, it's crazy because after all this went down, I had to dig up some research and find out where these songs originated from like the samples. And it's crazy to see that some of these songs were like made in 1979, 1980, 1960s, you know what I mean? And to take something from that era and then combine it with new electronic music, it's just mind-blowing to me how smart you have to be to think of a concept like that and
totally
execute it perfectly, because you don't want to go out and be like, hey, I'm going to put this together and then put it out and then be, people be like, hey, it's not good. I love it.
Yeah. So we have the sequence and we have the band, the crescendos. They're playing at a big concert. Everyone is pumped to see them. But this time, instead of alien invaders coming to whisk them away, we have our boy Shep, who flies in on a jetpack over the crowd and lands on the stage. He has a device that is able to break the mind control glasses.
Ooh.
And he is able to free 1, 2, 3 members of the band, but before he is able to free Stella, Earl the Darkword, our evil villain, blocks it. He takes her, and the rest of the band and him are left to try and have to get away. They've done all they can now. They have to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, and what's his name? Darkwood, right?
Earl the Darkword.
Darkwood the Darkwood. That's right.
Earl the Dark. Again, I love this song and this sequence for many, many reasons. Just taking it back to what you said about them getting samples and making it something new and something fresh. Amazing. They layer so much. Like, you can count how many times they add a beat and how many times they take away a beat, and it tells this story so flawlessly and so seamlessly. But the part I love about this sequence is when he is about to break Stella's mind control. And basically all of the dope beats that we've been hearing just get reduced to the one like little synth riff. And it's just like a moment between them as they just like look between each other. And it's just, it is so perfectly done. And, because he was so lost in the moment and, in his love for her, he wasn't able to save her because the Earl de Darkwood steps in front of her and they have to go. But the other part of this scene that's just so heartbreaking is the fact that his henchmen chase them, and before they get absolutely pummeled, which I love, but before they do that, they're about to shoot him in the head when Octave sees what they're about to do and takes one of the equipment that's in the van and deflects the bullet away from Shep's head, but unfortunately still hits him in, above the right shoulder. And the scene ends with, you see his gold dripping blood as he still manages to save them. But he's been hit. And when you think these guys have been taken care of and hit by semi-trucks and whatnot, they come back Terminator style, and you're like, we're halfway through the album at this point, and you're like, what's gonna happen? I need to see more.
And and it's just, Shep is doing everything he can to make sure that they're safe, and just like you mentioned before, they're driving, the henchmen are coming after them. They have these guns that, again, one's aimed right at his head and he deflects it. Shep still gets hit, and right before they're getting ready to shoot him again, they collide with this big truck, the semi-truck, and they blow up. So then they manage to escape, but he's still wounded. They're able to escape, and
it's such a solid action sequence too.
It is.
It's just very again, the song is called Superheroes, and it absolutely delivers on that promise. It is this
Mhm.
very upbeat, lively. It's if you need a good song to run to and feel very powerful with,
Yeah.
it's definitely in that category. You can
Heck yeah.
definitely throw it on with some like just your regular pump up playlist and it will go perfectly. But it is
There
such
is a
just it's an
surprise to this
epic
too.
action sequence and it's good action too. It's very easy to follow and it has that great emotional payoff of
Yeah.
like, oh no, they're gonna shoot Shep. Oh, and Octave saves Shep and it still hits.
Yeah.
They try their
And
best and the bad guys are just a little bit of a step further.
and the thing is, there is a twist to that too, because they hit the semi, they blow up, right? And
Mhm.
normally you think that they're dead. Well,
Exactly. You want them to
find
be
out
dead.
they're not. They're robots. They're
Yeah.
cyborgs, and
Mhm.
they get up and they're twisting their necks around and
Oof.
things like that. So then they're not dead. You know what I mean? And
And again,
you see the blood
there
dripping from Shep's arm at that point.
yeah, and, like you said, this song delivers, in not only this has no lyrics, it's all music, it's all feeling, and yet you understand what's going on, and you're able to still be invested, and again, I can show this to anyone, anywhere in the world, and they will follow the story, they'll know what's happening, and they'll most likely be like, "No, Shep!" 'Cause I remember being like, "Yes, he escaped, they managed to go," and only to find out that he's hurt, and when he's like, trying to stop the wound in his shoulder, he's like yes, he's wincing in pain, but I kind of also feel like he's almost smiling in a way, 'cause he managed to do it. They got 3 out of the 4 people. Like that's a big deal. And I just also want to say in the beginning when he goes with the jetpack and then he abandons the jetpack and you're like, okay, he's gonna parachute down. No, Shep's cooler than that. He's
Right?
gonna have some Star-Lord like rocket boots. He's absolutely like Star-Lord. And just he's gonna like skirt over the crowd's heads. Just like beautiful, beautiful sequence. Which brings us to the next one, which is High Life. This is another kind of vibe song that just really has a distinct mood, and everyone is just kind of distraught at this point.
It's
After what just happened.
underappreciated Daft Punk song too. Like it's a very fun, just again, like I think what you said, describes it perfectly. It's a vibe. It's just this kind of fun, glamorous vibe. So essentially what happens during the song is Stella is still in the Earl Darkwood's clutches. She's being taken all around the city to all these kind of glamorous events, still kind of forced to be there as the Crescendol's presence. Meanwhile, while she's being toted around all these places, there's this particular paparazzi member who just keeps kind of like taking a little bit more of an interest in her. It's like very intense. The camera keeps showing on her. The sequence ends and they're back at that penthouse suite with the Earl de Darkwood. He kind of gives her a sinister look and walks away. But as he walks away, a card falls out of his pocket. Stella picks it up. She sees information that will become important later in the dress, and she tucks it back into her dress.
Which I guess is important to say is for an award show. This part is very funny.
Very iconic. Very iconic.
Daft Punk, of course, has to have a cameo in their stuff. The stuff that they work on. So obviously they're in this, and they've got this little anime version of them. They're all suited for the awards as they go and they go to this award show, the Golden Record Awards, and the Crescendolls end up beating Daft Punk at their own game and winning the Golden Record. And the paparazzi finally reveals himself to be Beryl and manages to finally break Stella of her trance.
Her mind control.
I do like how Daft Punk, when they were nominated, they just looked at each other and shrugged shoulders like, huh?
One of them says happy and the other one just has a question mark.
It's awesome.
And then when the Crescendolls won, they had one of them had love and the other one had a heart. But yeah, this was a great sequence. She finally gets taken out of her mind control and gets taken by Octave and Beryl to where the warehouse that Shep is being held. Which brings us to our next song.
I love
Something
about us.
Oh my lord. It is, again, just a beautiful ballad, and it is so full of emotion.
Yeah.
And this sequence breaks my heart. It makes me cry.
I feel like Something About Us is definitely, I keep saying a bunch of these songs are underrated Daft Punk songs, but a lot are compared to like their more breakout hits. But Something About Us, especially if they're more lyrical songs, it's such a beautiful song, and it does not get nearly the amount of love that it deserves.
Totally.
So basically what happens in the sequence is that they return to the warehouse with Stella, but they find out that Shep isn't going to make it. He informs them that he's going to die, but his last kind of gift to them is he reaches his hand out to Stella, and they nod at her, and she takes it. And then she's kind of pulled into that dream sequence that he had earlier, and they'd have this just really beautiful moment together. It's so romantic. It's gorgeous. The animation is so pretty.
Yeah, and they're all sad. They're all tearing up, and he goes and he reaches his arm out, and she's sitting there and she's staring at him. And
one of the moments I love is like right before he pulls her into the dream, because they still have their human disguises on. They're still stuck looking as human, but for that moment when they hold hands, she transforms back to her true self.
I love that.
It's just a magical sequence of events, because it's like that one last hurrah. They didn't want to see Shep go out like this, but he will always be in their memories because he's the one who went there. He saved them, and it's just. This scene reminds me kind of like how Superman and Lois Lane are, like in their movies, like how they fly around and, they're just spending that time together. Right. That's exactly what this reminds me of. So
totally. And I like to think that this is kind of like his superpower in a way, is like being able to like project these worlds and have that moment that he had. It's literally like what his daydream was in Digital Love. And this was such a beautiful juxtaposition to that song, because it's essentially the same thing of just being so in love with someone, but it's a lot sadder. Again, this scene makes me cry. It's again beautifully done, and before he leaves, he gives them this like crystal gem, and it opens up to these little action figures of the band in their blue form, and it kind of reminds everyone where they came from. Before you see in the background that Shep has indeed taken his last breath. Shep deserved better.
It's such a beautiful, heartbreaking sequence. And it's just so, and one of the things I love about it is that it's so colorful, that this moment that, and I think it's the color that really brings out a lot of the heartbreak here, because especially when they're in that dream together, everything is just so vivid and beautiful and lively. And just to know that this is kind of just Shep's last kind of hurrah and just last moment with this woman who he loves dearly. It's just so powerful. And then just the little toys in the little hologram that showing them, I love the design of those toys. They are so cute and important.
I need merch of this.
Speaking of toys, now that you've mentioned it, I'll take like 15 seconds. There's actually action figures that they have of the Crushing dolls in their alien form. And I was looking on eBay, and they're going for $500 now.
No.
Yeah.
Funko Pop better get up in this. I would gladly collect some Interstella 5555 Funkos. I'd collect 5 Funkos of that. But then it goes into our next song, which is Voyager, which again, just a vibe. So such a low key like bop. It's got such a funky rhythm to it, and there's a harp in there. How do they do it? I don't know. They're just amazing. They're just Daft Punk.
Yeah. And
But the scene is also so heartbreaking.
Yeah. So this is right off of Shep dying. They kind of have to keep moving because whoever this guy who took them is still hunting them. And Shep was kind of their last hope of getting off the planet and back to their home world. They're a rock band. They don't have those capabilities. So they go back into their van. They're driving through the countrysides with Shep's body in the van, by the way. And they're just kind of all looking at this beautiful countryside, kind of reflecting on what happened when finally they see this tree on top of a hill. And they're like, this is the spot. This is where we're going to lay Shep to rest. So they bury Shep at night. And when they do, all these flowers bloom from the grave and all these fireflies just spiral out of it. And Shep is there and he's looking down on them as kind of a last thank you. And he'll be watching over them. And it's,
this is my favorite Daft Punk song, by the way.
Yes.
Voyagers is my favorite. It's my favorite.
Heck yeah.
It has such it has such a groovy beat to it.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
That
yeah.
So good. And again, they bring a harp into this. And it just works so seamlessly. So after, Stella, she takes this flower and she throws it in Shep's grave, and then those flowers bloom. And when his soul rises, with these like fireflies almost, you get this beautiful, just like little harp melody. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, this is a very nice and peaceful moment. It works so well within the scene. And then it goes back to that downbeat and that funk. And they're like, all right, now we have to go figure out what this Earl is doing. And we need to stop him. So again, so sad. Shep's dead. He deserved better. But this is an amazing song. Like, I can see why it's your favorite. Yeah. I remember hearing this song in a bar and being like, hold up, is this Daft Punk right now? No way. And I had to Shazam it just to be sure. But sure enough, it was Voyager. And I was like, my compliments to whoever is putting the soundtrack on tonight, because you did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that scene where you actually see him, his soul rise up and, he gives him that last hurrah. He puts his arm across his chest and then he takes off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said,
everyone kind of says their goodbyes.
Yeah. And then you see him just take off and you see a star in the sky. And she actually takes one of the flowers and she's crying and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And the last little firefly wafts up. Yeah. It's a very like tangled moment, like Rapunzel.
Those fireflies coming out of that grave, man. It's just, it's such, again, going back to how wonderful the animation is. It's such a wonderful piece of animation. It is so pretty and emotionally poignant and just imaginative and beautiful. And it really adds a lot of fantasy to what is already a epic space epic.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah.
And then on this scene, as they're driving, they see a sign that says Darkwood. And then he pulls out the card. And if you notice on the card, it says 5555 on it for, it has what, 5 5s on it? Yeah, it has 5 5s on it. And
it's what would it be? May 5th, May 2005 at 5:55.
Yep. And then they definitely they take their adventure over to that location.
They kind of have to because they have no capabilities of getting home, and this is the guy who took them. That's right. Their only lead.
Yeah.
I also just want to say that they are obviously out of the mind control now, and now you can see their personalities actually shine. Like you said, Stella does take another flower off the grave, and then she puts it in her hair. Yeah. And I love that moment. I love how they're free to, be expressive, because you miss those guys. And it's, again, without lyrics, without any other explanation other than the mood of the song and what's happening visually, you understand the plot. Which then goes into another dope song, as if they're not all dope. Veritas Quo, which was again just really, really spooky, is kind of like what I got from this next sequence of events when they finally reach Darkwood Manor.
Yeah.
And of course, it looks like it's made of dark wood.
It actually, this song along with this scene gives me like Castlevania vibes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because the manor looks like a huge castle, and yet it has that organ playing. You know what I mean? And then they incorporate the beats with bass and whatnot, and it just flows really well. And then they walk into the manor, and then they see this grizzly, burly looking dude up on the wall, and then they're walking around and they're lost and they don't know what to do, and they're trying to find a way to, you know, find out who's behind all this and what they could do in order to, you know, to go home and whatnot. But the place is massive, and you know, they're doing what they can to get back. And this is the first time where we actually get to see all of them as a group try to, you know, find their way out. And it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome scene, because as they're going through, you see some surprises. I'll let you explain all that.
So the first 2 minutes of the song are kind of spent exploring the manor. They have some trouble getting in at first, and that prism that Shep had given them actually is able to unlock the door for them. And then they're just going and twisting and turning in this very dark, spooky mansion. It's very almost demonic in a way, until eventually, after kind of going through all these twists and turns, Beryl pulls on a light lamp switch that unlocks a secret room, and it's the secret satanic room. And man, guys, at this part of the movie, I really knew that we were going to get Agatha Harkness, especially when we saw that book in there.
It was Agatha
that they're drawn to. It was Agatha all along. They find the Darkhold. Catherine Hahn is incredible as the Earl of Darkwood. Really.
Yeah. Fabulous. This was a good old, I guess it would be, if this was the anime, this would be just like that exposition episode where everything is explained. You see what made the Earl de Darkwood so evil. And you find out that it's because his parents were killed in this freak meteor crash. And you know, they died.
He hates space now.
I don't know. Maybe he wants to fight the meteors. But he, you know, they die. I love this part too, because I love how they die. They basically they die holding hands. His mom and his dad, but like their hands have obviously been torn apart. But they died together, and he was left alone as a very small child. And grew up to be just this old, cynical old man who you later find out actually went to many different planets, stole many different aliens, and brought them and made them proteges and made them really big musical successes. And eventually, because they were so mind controlled and just tortured so much, essentially, it would lead them to stuff like alcoholism, and, you know, I think it's like a baby Mozart jumps off the side of this giant like lava pit, which is very dark. Like, we're getting into the dark stuff.
He's really like taking these like Agatha really wants the power of the Mozart kid. But
he basically used these artists to get these gold records so that he can, I guess, use the gold to take over the world.
I think it was I saw it more as a doomsday situation. Like if he got the last record, he'd have the. But I mean, this is really the part of the movie that kind of goes off the rails, because it's already this epic space epic, and now it's like, oh yeah, this is the villain. His backstory is he's this crazy ancient count whose parents died in a meteor, so he made space travel and has been sacrificing musicians for centuries.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And also, he made the technology. This is the part that always like cracks me up, is that he made the space traveling technology and the technology to put mind wipe people and make them look human in like the 1500s.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Managed to keep it hidden from the rest of the world. It's it's sci-fi at its best, really.
It's great. They're like, we're gonna take, everyone's invested. They're not gonna, what are they gonna do? Stop the movie now? At this point, no. We're gonna keep going through this awesome adventure, because after, as they're like seeing all of this stuff, they get caught by those Terminator guards, those Terminator henchmen, who bring them down to that lava pit chasm with the Earl de Darkwood. And he's about to take Stella and sacrifice her. That's what he needs to complete his ritual. But, the rest of the band's like, no. And they fight off the henchmen and manage to shoot one in the eye, which was dope. And then one of them shot back, and the prism that they gave, which is like a Deus Ex Machina prism, managed to ricochet off it and hit them, and they overpowered the Earl and tipped him off the edge. And this part was spooky, because all the other henchmen that were doing the ritual with him were just like short-circuited. They spazzed out and also just threw themselves off.
That part always cracks me up. I will say that.
Yeah.
Because it's just so goofy, but in a great sci-fi fun way. Just watching all these kind of henchmen going, oh,
we have no other purpose,
and just kind of fling themselves off the cliff into the blazing lava below.
I think that part is kind of wild. It's extremely wild, because they were just sitting there, they were chanting or whatever, and then next thing you know, they're like, oh, hey, he fell, let's follow him.
Yep. It's like, that was easy. That's all we had to do from the start.
Right. And then the thing is that the whole manor is blowing up now, and they had to escape, which leads into the next song, Short Circuit.
Yeah. Dope ass song.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it has the perfect music for it too. And I don't even know how to describe this whole scene other than the fact that it's just pure
it's
genius.
A funky blow up sequence.
Yeah, it is. It's like you wouldn't expect this music to happen.
Can we also talk about very briefly, because they show the van escaping. They definitely have one shot in there that is just a CGI van that doesn't look as great as everything else in the film has.
Yeah.
It really kind of felt like, for this this one shot right here, we forgot to animate the van, guys.
Yeah.
Oops. Get the CGI van.
Hey, you know what though? At least they did it. At least they did it. Got to give them credit for that.
You don't even think about that, because you're just jamming out to the music, the tunes, the beats.
But in this sequence, they managed to steal the book that has all the proof of this guy being an ancient count who's been stealing galactic musicians for the past 500 years. And they're like, okay, we got to get our memory disc back. So we got to break into the record company.
And it's funny because he steals this person's clothes that are way too small for him.
Yeah, love that part.
The one thing, he's a member of this company's biggest band. Why is he disguising himself as a janitor?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they just they would question him more if they actually recognized him.
And I guess it's the matter of I don't know who is involved in this or whatever. I like that it's only Octave that goes to do this mission.
Yeah. He's like, don't worry, guys, I got this.
Because also one detail I really like here is that the game that's playing is France versus Japan, because this is a French-Japanese production. I think that's just kind of a little clever little detail. But he breaks into the building. He steals a janitor's clothes. He ties up a janitor and steals his clothes. But he gets the memory disc back. He goes to leave the building, and the security guards see him exit the building exit the room. And they're like, oh, there's this weird guy exiting a room. So they go to confront him, and he's confronted by these two security guards. And then I forgot about this. This is a random moment of just racially motivated police brutality, because he reaches into his pocket and these security guards are like, oh God, he has a gun, and tase him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the record producer comes out like, "Oh my god, you just tased my band member," and then his skin turns blue. But I just that took me off guard a little bit.
Yep.
Um,
After all that is done, they get all the information, and it's like everyone is in an uproar. You know what I mean? They don't know. They're like, "Wait a minute, are these people who are they really the people who we thought they were?" Look, they're not human. Like when he got tased, the security guard looked at him like, "What the heck? Like, what's going on?" And then along those lines, that brings in the next song.
So Face to Face, again, not one of Daft Punk's more popular songs, but such a good one. I think this one's actually one of my favorites. And this is kind of the human world realizing, oh yeah, these your favorite band, they're all aliens, and basically Earth coming together to send them back home. They dig up spaceship, and the whole planet as like the celebration of sending them back home. But also,
Operation Goodbye Crushing Dolls. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Can we also talk about the fact that in this universe, they found out that aliens are real and that this band is aliens, and announce that to the whole public like it's breaking news. By the way, guys, aliens are real, but don't panic because it's only your favorite band and they're gonna leave and they're never gonna come back. As opposed to what would actually happen, which is we'd never hear from this band again.
We kind of have that when they like go into that facility. They bring all these scientists, and again, the Operation Goodbye Crescendos. They're like, we need to get the best and brightest minds together. This is a worldly effort, and I really just appreciated how chill everyone was. As soon as they were like, yeah, everyone, these are blue aliens. They're like, all right, let's go, and we're gonna paint our face blue. Yeah. Like, everything's fine. They're aliens. That doesn't change anything.
Can I just say...
So that was always fun.
There's one shot in there of the news breaking on TV, and they cut to this kid eating a bag of potato chips.
I was about to say this.
It's the funniest.
Yes.
Yeah, he sits there and he has this one potato chip, and his mouth is wide open, and he drops the potato chip.
It's one of my favorite shots.
And the title of this song corresponds so well to this scene because we are coming face to face with aliens that are on our planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The name of the song makes sense with the scene that is happening. And like you said, that kid was cracking me up. Like he just sits there and he's just like, what?
And then he just drops it and his mouth is still open. It's peak comedy. And that's what I'm saying. This is one of the lyric songs in this album, but you understand what's going on.
And then on top of that,
it has that message of unity and everyone coming together, just like Daft Punk did with their actual music.
Yeah, and they find their ship. They find ship's ship in the process, and then they're taking all the memories and all the information and finding out what really happened to them and processing all that. And they walk in and then they see their former selves, and they're like, the group is like, look, I want to go back home. You can just see it on their faces when they walk in.
Yeah, I love when they go see Octave. He looks at them and they're obviously all blue, and then he looks at himself and he realizes he's blue too, and he just gets so happy.
So awesome.
Yeah. Also, the record producer guy, he turns out to be a pretty chill guy. He's there with them. He's friendly. He's like, hey, sorry, I didn't know you about everything. And they're like, yeah, it's cool.
It's awesome.
No, and then it goes to our last song, which is like, how did we come to the end? You don't want it to end, but you're also wanting them to get back home. The last song is Too Long, which is, again, just such a great cap to, the end of this album. It's such a well done song. I love this song.
The part I like before we get into this end is when they actually come out into the balcony.
Yeah.
And how everyone is painted and they have their signs and their names and everyone's cheering them on.
Exactly.
And they're all happy up there. I mean, and the whole city is just flooded with people.
Yeah.
And they're so happy for them.
We need more of that.
Yeah, we could definitely use a lot of positivity in this world right now. We
Yeah.
really could.
Yeah.
And that's
No,
the
it's
thing.
such-
Like, you get to the end of this movie, and you just got a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a journey. Just all of them doing the thumbs up in the ship when they're
Mhm.
leaving, and when she looks at the pilot sheet and like sees Shep is
Yeah.
supposed to be there. Ah,
Mhm. Breaks
keeping
your
in
heart.
the emotions.
Right.
They say screw that, and they're like, we're gonna give you all the sadness and all the joy at the same time.
Right.
You're gonna get this. You're gonna get whiplash of feelings.
And
But-
then everyone's cheering them on the spaceship, and
Mhm.
seeing them take off, and everyone's all happy for them.
Yeah, they're
whatnot.
celebrating. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
It's
And
just like,
then-
what a world to live. I'd like to live in that world where
yeah.
everyone is just like, I love those scientists, those aerospace engineers, just like, yeah, and like jumping and hollering when the spaceship was able to go and break the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's very optimistic in its look at kind of humanity and kind of our own collectiveness, that we, like, as humans, accepted these 4 aliens as kind of one of our own, and kind of went, yeah, we're gonna get you back home, even though that's never what would actually happen at all.
I know.
It's still nice to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like you said, Too Long. This song is awesome. It's 10 minutes long, actually.
Yeah,
It's their longest song
but
on
yet
this
that's
album.
not too long.
Yeah.
It's not too long. That's exactly what I was about to say. And this,
It's such a good grand finale.
it is. And this ending scene is just so good. Like, the biggest part that hits home, obviously, is Shep, and they
Yeah.
celebrate Shep's life
Mhm.
with this ginormous statue. And
Wait, before that. So they're going back in the wormhole to go back home, and
Yeah.
they're attacked by the spirit of the Earl de
that's
Darkwood.
right.
No!
That's right. I forgot. I
Like,
jumped the gun.
Eats the spaceship. Like, we threw him in a pit of lava. We didn't think that his evil ghost was going to come back in some strange, spooky way, but it comes back in the wormhole, and they think it's it. But then Shep's spirit comes out, saves the day, pushes back the evil force. It looks at Stella one last time, taking out the Earl of Darkwood for good, showing that Shep was looking after them the whole time, and is able to come through for the band one last time. One more time.
Yep.
Can we also talk about how when they after Shep beats them, because they all go into Shep's room and see all the pictures of Stella and
Yeah.
the band, but mainly Stella, and they're like, "Oh, this is Shep's room. He's dead. We're in a dead man's room. We're in a dead man's ship. He should be here." And they're all bummed for a little bit.
Mhm.
And it goes into kind of a flashback recapping everything that we'd seen in the movie.
Yeah, just a really great cap. And just really, they go through the whole movie, and you get to just experience that journey one last time, and you're just like, or one more time. And you get to just be like, wow, I really just watched that, and that was a wonderful time. That was great. I can tell that this is the end. I don't want it to end. But again, it's like it's a bittersweet ending because it's so open-ended. I love this scene also because then Octave starts humming and like drumming something up, and they all start to kind of get their groove back and start riffing on a song, which I want to say that like Too Long is the song that they is the song that they end up making as they finally get back to their homeworld. Everyone is so excited to see them. I think this part's hilarious because they just got back to their homeworld, and the first thing they're doing is holding a giant concert. But what an entrance to just like beam down from a spaceship. But again, seeing this song and how many layers it has, I love the part where it just is the little guitar strum, and then it goes back to dropping the beat when they have landed on their planet and are singing this song that is getting beamed back to Earth.
Yeah.
And everyone is able to still experience the Crescendos, aka maybe Interstella is their band name, and still get to have them be a part of their life. It's just an amazing end to an amazing movie. And just as you said, they honor Shep by making this giant statue to him. And as Stella is the one to reveal it, as she looks up at the statue, she sees this glowing red star just kind of like twinkle. And she smiles and is like, everything's going to be okay. And again, I love this part because you're like, what a wonderful ending. That's where we're going to leave it off. When it pulls back out of the planet, out of the galaxy, out of the universe. And you see that this is all in a spinning Daft Punk Discovery record that is playing in this little boy's room, who honestly is room goals for me because he just has a bunch of Interstella merch.
Yeah.
He has Crescendo dolls and alien dolls, and he's just sleeping with all these action figures around him. He's got a little Crescendo's pajama. It's so adorable.
Yeah. It's because we get to see the same dolls that we saw when Shep was showing off the band, what they actually were and who they meant. It's just such a cute way to end the movie. Like, normally I hate the kind of the implication that maybe it was all a dream, because he also has the dolls for Earl the Darkwood and all those henchmen. And it's kind of the implication that this is just what he was playing while he was listening to Daft Punk. But I also love that, because that kind of is what the joy of Daft Punk's music is being, and music in general is just being able to get lost in these worlds and these fantasies, and just to have that as just such a strong final thesis statement and a strong final imagery. It's so beautiful. Too Long is such a really good song. Just, again, Daft Punk being Daft Punk and amazing. Also, side note, if you want a really good version of Too Long, if you ever listen to Daft Punk's 2007 Alive live album, it's so good. We talk about how Daft Punk, they've been taking all these samples from disco and really reworking it into being a totally different new song and totally their own. That whole live album, they take all of their classics, all the songs from this movie as well, and do the same thing and remixing them and turning them into totally different pieces of music. And they just have a beautiful ability to be able to do that. So check out this movie and then listen to that album.
Yeah, absolutely. Just gonna say this. Daft Punk, thank you very much for the awesome 28 plus years that you have spent as a duo creating awesome music for all ages, not just one person, not one color, not one genre, not one, like Daft Punk wanted to make this music for everyone to enjoy, no matter who you were.
Absolutely.
And I have to commend them for that. And I think that it's so sad to see him go, right?
I know.
I get that good things do come to an end, but it did not need to end now.
I know.
which I really hope, again, that they reunite in some way, shape, or form. And be like, hey guys, we're gonna have a tour, and if they do a tour here in Denver or something, or reunion, I'm buying tickets. I don't care. I will be there.
Yeah, same. Likewise. No, it's I'm forever grateful that they made such a wonderful piece of art such as Interstella. And I'm so glad I'm still able to watch it and share it with so many other people who just love it as much as I do, because it is a great piece of media, not just the songs. And I love that I can listen to the songs and still see the movie in my head.
Right.
And that's just how iconic it is. That's how iconic they are. Like, their stuff is just classic and timeless. And I absolutely owe so much of, my music taste and the way I tell stories to Daft Punk, and the way they just really are very passionate and very talented individuals. I absolutely hope that they could one day just give us one more reunion tour. Just please do it.
Right.
Yeah. Bring back the pyramid. Give everyone one last chance to see that. I will pay exorbitant amounts of money. I don't care. Let it happen.
I mean, it's so crazy. Like going back to what I said, this ending scene shows all types of people, old people, young people. It shows an astronaut watching it on his cell phone.
Exactly.
You know, it shows
Absolutely.
people in India and Egypt watching, you know, and that
Kenya,
that right
yeah.
there, and Paris, that right there tells you how much of an impact that duo had on everyone. That is powerful. That is powerful to
Exactly.
me.
No, I absolutely love it. Definitely go check out this movie. Check out Daft Punk. They keep is quality over quality over quality.
Yeah.
I will definitely miss them. I hope they come back in some form, whether it be they're very interested in films and they have been scoring films. If they want to keep that route, I would be happy to see that. And if they want to give us maybe a new song, just maybe one song, maybe a final song, and we can be good.
Yeah.
But no, I
same.
absolutely love Interstella, and like thank you both for talking so much about it.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. It was great to have you. You've been a really fun and insightful guest.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I try my best.
All right. So if you have a topic we should look at, you can comment on our Facebook page or send us an email at sirensdenpodcast@gmail.com.
And thank you so much to our wonderful guest, Twitch Streamer ICrazyJI, for being on the show today. Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah. You can actually watch me stream some Overwatch and do my best all the time. It's twitch.tv/CrazyJ. However, there is an I at the beginning and an I at the end. So it's ICrazyJ and then I. You can see me there, or you can also feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at twitter.com/CrazyJ. Again, I at the beginning, I at the end.
Also, be sure to catch future and previous FR episodes on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And you heard us talk about it even in our Daft Punk episode. We are obsessed with WandaVision, and we are doing a breakdown episode every single week. WandaVision only has 2 more episodes left, so we only have 2 more breakdowns left. So make sure that you do not miss out and listen to us talk about it and talk about it with us.
Thank you to Ty, our producer, and to Sean Thomas at buzzstudio.com for our theme song.
We'll catch you next time.
Until then, stay safe, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.